Welcome in to another edition of the Just Press Play podcast. We are rolling one short this week, but I got my man Pops with me. What's going on, Pops?
No, not too much. What's going on, Kev?
You know, just rolling on through. We are without LJ today. He's a little busy. Got things going on up in Chi-Town, so we're going to pour one out for the homie, but we'll have him back soon. And we missed last week. And I wanted to get to, it's been a lot of, I wanted to start out, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners, probably just about everybody in America is watching, probably all over the world is watching Game of Thrones right now.
God, it seems like it. Yeah.
I mean, that show, it's probably the biggest show. I guess it could kind of be similar to back in the day when The Sopranos was a big show. I've heard people talk about Sopranos and where it was like the world stopped on Thursday nights to watch Sopranos.
I think it was Sunday night. Wasn't Sopranos Sunday night? I think it was on HBO Sunday night. Yeah.
That was a little before my time.
Yeah. That was. But now Breaking Bad was a similar series. I remember the last season of Breaking Bad, like you planned around it and talked about it the next day, a lot like we are Game of Thrones.
Right. So that gets me a little to the point of, I get like, so now on Monday morning when you wake up, and we're not going to like dive into and recap the episode one, because if you've listened to our previous Game of Thrones stuff, we might get some names wrong and some sigils wrong, and we might not be all up to date on all the trivia. But by the way, if you hadn't listened to our Game of Thrones stuff, yeah, might's also on a chicken's ass. But but there's some fun Game of Thrones stuff if you're interested. We did a couple weeks ago. They're still there. It's real cool stuff, and it'll be fun throughout the last season. But we're not going to break down this past episode and talk about Arya and Gendry or any of that. I just wanted to ask you about, I understand if you didn't watch it Sunday, like Monday morning, you may get a spoiler, like you might go to work and someone at work's talking about it. Or if you read something on the internet, there's articles being posted about like a recap or now with podcasts being so big, people are talking about it in podcasts. So I get that. And I don't think there's anything wrong. I think LJ's been on this hill before where he's like, don't whine about spoilers if you're not keeping up with the biggest show on the planet, not just America. Like we said, on the planet, everyone's watching it. So that's on you. But right now, right after Game of Thrones ends, I think it ends at 8 Central time, or it starts at 8 Central, so it ends around 9. Is that right?
Yep.
If you get on Twitter at 9:30, I mean, there is trending all over Twitter. There's memes and the video, like the funny videos that go viral, whether it's basketball or anything, people use those. And then they make like context from Game of Thrones, like when the Night King, when he hears Bran say this, and then like they'll put a video or something.
Right. Yeah.
And they're hilarious. First off, I want to say it is almost as good. It's not as good as the episode, but it's so funny to go and look at those and just see how creative people are. And, but now, if you don't watch the show at 8, like if Sunday night, if you were like, I really want to catch the Thunder and the Blazers game 4, it's a crucial game 4. I want to watch that. And then I'll catch Game of Thrones after or something like at 10 or 11 if you don't have to go to sleep super early.
Right. If
you accidentally just happen to get on social media and just start scrolling through, spoilers all over the place. Like you have to avoid everything. And I feel like should there be like a waiting time that we should put on people, like you shouldn't talk about the show all over social media until give people an hour to watch it, you know?
Well, maybe, but it's kind of like, of course, I never watch a live sporting event, after. Sometimes I'll tape it, but if that's the case, you have to take control of your destiny. You have to not listen to live radio. You have to not look at Twitter. You have to listen to something, some music or something. Because, you can't blame people for talking about it. It's the biggest thing going right now.
Well, I guess you have a good point bringing that up, because I decided I was going to pause Game of Thrones, or pause the Thunder Blazers game. I had it set to record and I was just going to fast forward to halftime, and if I wanted to watch it, I'd watch it, and if not, I'd fast forward to the fourth quarter after Game of Thrones and just check in on it. But I personally, I did this because I have so many friends that watch Game of Thrones that I was worried a text or someone sends me like a video from Twitter or something funny from social media. I have so many people I like to talk about Game of Thrones with that it's very possible they just assume I'm watching it live and they'll send me something. So I was like, I want to make sure I watch this because I'm more likely to get a Game of Thrones text than a Blazers Thunder text. Yeah. So I paused the basketball game, but I made sure not to get on Twitter because I didn't want to see the score. So I guess you have to think of the same light if you're watching Game of Thrones. If you pause it, if you don't want to get spoiled, you better stay off Twitter because my goodness. And that's just how big the show's gotten now. I mean, it is just so crazy how many people watch it. And with it being not like how Ozarks is on Twitter on Netflix, where Ozark and Stranger Things and Peaky Blinders, you name them, they come out like seasons at a time. So you can binge it. You watch all full seasons. Game of Thrones is still that week long. They come out once a week, and then they have seasons where you have to wait. I don't know. It felt like we waited years for this final season. It probably wasn't. Probably only a year, but it seemed like forever. But I wonder. I think this is the one show where you can't just you get the time to everyone catches up. So even if you weren't on the boat before, you had all this past 12 months to catch up on Game of Thrones and watch it. And so everyone's on the same page. And I think you're right. At first I was thinking people shouldn't tweet about it right after, but you're right. With how many people watch it, it's just like a sporting event where if you're not watching it live, you're on your own. If you don't want to see spoilers, you have to try not to go see stuff. And if you hear someone at work talking about it, either exit the room or ask them politely, please don't spoil anything.
I mean, and I think you're within your rights to say, please let me walk away or something, but you need to remove yourself from that situation. But now I will tell you this. So the first night, this was the second one. So the first night, it was on Sunday night, and we had something potentially going on that was going to keep us past Game of Thrones. And I was kind of freaking out. I was like, oh my God, Tammy, do you realize Game of Thrones starts tonight? We may be up at this thing, this function or whatever. And luckily we got home in time, because maybe when I brought that up, Tammy said, oh, it's time to go.
Yeah.
It was,
it is
good.
Is this going to be the last? I don't know if we'll have another show really that does this where they do seasons at a time and the anticipation's there and week-long shows.
Well, I mean, maybe they'll do it like, get something big and then hold it out where you can't binge watch it all. Netflix, maybe they let something go, but they only let one go a week or something.
Well, it's smart. I mean, it keeps Game of Thrones relevant all week long. Like, instead of this season coming out, like if they dropped, I don't forget how many episodes this final season, 6 maybe?
I think only 6, yeah. And I got a question about that in a minute. Keep going.
Okay, we'll get to it in just a second. But if they drop all of them at the exact same time, I know me, and I know my friends, and I know probably you. Like I'd probably watch it all in a weekend. You might at least spend it, a week or two. But I'd probably just spend a whole weekend watching it. But if they drop it all, we're gonna binge it. We'll get it all in 2 weeks. We'll talk about it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then the way the news cycle, the way the news cycle and the way new shows come out and movies come out, something big happens. The playoffs, the NBA playoffs happen, the NFL draft, Avengers Endgame. We just move on from Game of Thrones talk. Where
to
now,
the next thing,
yeah. And now with them doing how they do it, where it comes out every Sunday, they keep these 6 episodes. We're going to talk about them for the next 6 weeks because not only do we watch one, but now, like by Wednesday, I'm so ready for the next episode. I might read an article on it, or I might listen to a podcast on it. I'm going to go, hey, Lyft, what do you think about this? And so it's just staying in a constant stream, and it's on Twitter for a week. And so they're living in a longer bubble. I don't see why Netflix wouldn't want to do this, why they wouldn't want to drop. I think you're onto something. I don't think this is the final one because I think they're going to notice that there is something to keeping this 10-episode season relevant for 2 months instead of if they drop when Stranger Things season 3 or 4, whichever one they're on, when it comes out, they're going to put them all at the same time, and it'll be all that anyone's talking about on social media. But it'll only be for like 2 or 3 weeks instead of 2 months. And I think when you start thinking about this, actors, directors, PR, like just people that promote will start going, there's something to this. We should work on this. And I'm interested to see where the next step is because I think that's where it's going to go. People are going to go, there's something to keeping people hanging on longer because they love us talking about it every week. They have to.
Oh, they have to. And but I know even with Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, and Ozark, which are probably my last 3 favorite things I've watched, I had to catch up. So I'm glad that I could go binge the first season or whatever.
Yeah, and there's benefit to that too, like letting – because people want to be a part of the conversation. So like we have two guys, like three of us get to work at the same time, and two of us are big Game of Thrones fans. So Monday morning, like this morning, we got in and instantly like, so what'd you think? And the third guy, he just doesn't, he hadn't got into it. There's no reason. It's just one of those, just hadn't. Yeah, he just didn't get into it yet. And probably before he said didn't get into it because he's like, oh, I'm so behind. I'm 7 seasons behind. I won't be able to get into it in time. But now he's like, God, I got to go watch this because y'all talk about it every Monday morning. And he just wants to be a part of the conversation because you always want to be a part of the conversation. So it's good for Game of Thrones that now they might have got a new fan just because we enjoy it so much that we talk about it. And I think, personally, I just think it's such a good show that if you give it a shot, you'll probably end up getting
You'll probably get stuck. Yeah. You'll get
just
hooked.
like Breaking Bad was. When I heard so many people talking about it, I was like, all right, I got to just at least give this show a shot. And then, of course, I got hooked onto it. So,
because what was the other one? And I think you've watched some of it, the Mad Men. Mad Men, I've not finished it. I'm probably still in about the middle of the first season, but I started rewatching it, and it's really good, but like nobody's talking about Mad Men anymore. There's no conversation. If I watch it, it's because I want to watch it. It's kind of like, I guess, Sopranos. I'm watching Sopranos, and it's good. It's very good, but it's not in the common vernacular anymore.
But the way, and Netflix does it to an extent because Ozarks drops a season, and then a year goes by, then they'll drop season 2. A year goes by, and I think season 3 comes out now in July or something soon.
Are you serious? I can't wait.
Yeah.
I love Ozark.
Ozark's not on probably the same level as some of the shows. Like we're talking about Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Sopranos. I mean, these are like Mount Rushmore shows probably. And
okay.
Ozark's probably not there, but to us it is. We really enjoy Ozark.
Ozark is good though, but I like Jason Bateman too. I just think he's so cool. I really enjoy that show.
So Netflix does it to an extent where they won't drop, the full show at a time. But then I think the next step is if Netflix doesn't do it, maybe Netflix stands their ground and goes, yeah, but we're going to give our consumers what they want. We're not going to make them wait. We're going to give them a season at a time. So if they want to binge it, binge on. But I think that there's just too much benefit to having it as a constant stream of conversation for 2 months.
Well, do you remember there was a lot of talk with Game of Thrones that they were all going to be like 1.5-hour episodes, and it was all going to be like feature length.
Okay,
episodes.
So is this what you were going to say earlier? Because
yes.
I'm with you. I thought we were supposed to get like 6 90-minute episodes.
Exactly, and they've all been an hour and a minute or 59 minutes, or the two, of course. But
because LJ did the math at one point during our Game of Thrones talk and was like, we're actually going to get more content in this 6-episode season. I thought that was the case. Maybe I just misread, but so next week's episode 3 of season 7 is going to be that feature length film where we're going to get a huge battle.
It is, it's
going to be like over 90 minutes. Yeah. It's going to be supposedly the longest like battle scene in film history, like in any film ever. And it's going to be a 90-minute show. Like I think 93 minutes or something. It's supposed to be crazy. But I just thought get pumped for that. But I thought I was, for whatever reason, under the impression that they were all going to be those long episodes.
Me too.
I was pumped for that. And they've only been an hour. I've been happy with the first 2 episodes, but I would have been fine with another 30 minutes for each of them. It'd have been cool with me. Even if it had just been Tyrion talking to Bran. I still don't know Bran's whole story. So if Tyrion would have talked to him and like that conversation, we could have extended that for 20 more minutes.
Oh, no doubt. And I will say I'm not, no spoilers, but I kind of like, it's like the first 2 have been just kind of tying up a few loose ends, getting characters that have a history together and they're busy. And I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought the first 2 shows were amazing. I've really, really enjoyed them. I guess I'm looking forward to whatever's coming next because I don't know how the hell they're going to resolve it. But I almost like the dialogue as much as I like some battle scene. The battle scene will be cool.
Like that's what these first 2 episodes were so great. One, as far as storytelling, they had to do some of this, like you're saying. They had to, these people are reuniting. They couldn't rush it too much. They had to have some of this conversation and connect the dots, or it wouldn't make sense. But also, just as show watchers, we spent 7 seasons with Jaime Lannister. And he went from we hate him to we're not sure, maybe he's okay, to we kind of like him now. So like these moments that he gets, like the moment where they're doing the little, I saw people on Twitter talking about, where they were sitting in front of the fire in the past episode and they were all talking. They were like, this is the Game of Thrones version of the shop. LeBron's show on HBO, and I could do for a 30-minute episode of just them talking. Like that was great. I loved it. Tormund and all. Like the whole thing was good.
Love Tormund. Yes, I freaking love him.
The only problem is, and we'll get off the Game of Thrones after this. I'm a little worried. So we got a lot of moments where it felt like they kind of tied some ends where characters reach their arc in this episode too.
I know.
Usually that means they get the Ned Stark treatment in the next episode and a Red Wedding type of thing. And we got a battle coming up, so we're gonna lose somebody.
We're gonna lose some somebodies. Because I'm going to say this. I think old Tormund was kind of thrown out there to old Brienne that. This could be our last night, baby.
kind of my ass. He was completely thrown. The only person that was more forward was Arya because she straight up just started taking clothes off. But a weird move by Tormund to, I think his way of, and maybe this is just a wildling thing, but his way of trying to spit some game was saying that he's had a giant's titty in his mouth when he was a baby or something. Like what?
Yeah. Well, and then he drinks the whatever and it pours it all, whatever. I don't know.
It was perfect, though. It's perfect for his character. I loved it, but it's fun. Speaking of spoilers, real quick, I wanted to ask you, and I know neither one of us are huge Avengers guys, but the Avengers Endgame comes out. By the time people are listening to this, I think this will come out Thursday morning. So Avengers comes out that night. It's Friday morning, Thursday at midnight type of thing. But supposedly like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, a leak came out where someone who was credentialed to go see a premiere version before videotaped it and recorded some of it and dropped like a leaked ending or something so people could see an ending. And the directors had both the two brothers who directed it went to Twitter, and I'm probably wrong on some of this because I'm not the biggest Avengers guy, but I think it was the two directors went out to Twitter and they tweeted out like, please, fans, not only don't seek this, but if you have, don't ruin the show. Like, don't ruin the movie for people. We've built up on this for years. Don't ruin it. And one, I wonder who goes out and tries to find these, and two, I just don't like people that do that. Why would you what do you gain out of ruining the ending for someone? If you can't, it's one thing if they had the whole movie. I still don't like it because you're screwing over people. But if you had the whole movie, that's one thing. But just showing the ending, I don't know who wants to do it and who seeks that out. I don't get that.
You know what it seems like to me? It's probably the same peckerhead that said the dumbass thing about the guy's daughter. Why would you do that? I just don't.
I don't get the gain for it. I don't get what do you
get out of it?
Unless the only fulfillment they get is they get likes and favorites and mentions on Twitter and Facebook. But I don't get that. I just don't. In a movie.
I guess these people. If you want to be a dick, do that kind of stuff, and you might get a reward for it. But that's just kind of.
These people spend millions of dollars and and tons of time, like these actors and directors and editors. Everyone's spending all this effort and time. And then you're going to just put out a scene of the ending that basically makes – and Avengers is a long movie. It's like 3 hours long. So if you put out the last stuff of it ending, people are still going to watch it. But now you got to watch 2 hours of something where you already know the ending. That would just suck. That'd be like someone showing me the last episode of Game of Thrones, but they don't show me the other 6 or the other 5 of this last season. That would suck.
I'd probably I don't – if I knew that was out there, I would on purpose not watch it. I would avoid it. While you brought up movies, can I bring up one that I thought about the other day?
We'll get into sports in a minute. We do have some sports topics I want to bring up, but I'm loving this. Yeah, let me hear.
So we were trying to figure out movies to go see the other day. Tammy and I
y'all wanted to go to the theaters.
Yeah, maybe just go to the theater and get a bucket of popcorn, watch a movie. Right. And really couldn't find any. And I'll be honest, Shazam has a little bit of interest to me.
Okay.
It looks a little bit like Deadpool. He's kind of funny. He's kind of a superhero.
Yeah, actually, I watched the trailer, and it did look kind of interesting to me.
It looks kind of good, but we kind of came to the realization, that's really, let's wait for HBO. I'd kind of like to see it, but I just, there's nothing at the movies right now that is yanking me out that I really have to go see.
So, okay, that's perfect. I was kind of thinking about this when I was thinking about Avengers. And and maybe it's me a little bit, but the movie going experience, what does it take? What does it take for a movie to really make you want to go? Because every now and then it is fun to go to the theaters and sit with the big screen, even though my recliner's probably more comfortable. It's fun to go to the seat, get your bucket of popcorn, get you a Coke. I know Coke's loving the free plug here, but what does it take for a movie to pull you into the theaters and spend the $20 it's probably going to cost for you and Tammy?
Well, it costs $20 to get in and $20 for a
the
popcorn and 2 Cokes. So
costs,
for $40 is what it winds up costing, which seems to be a little touch on the high side. So what gets me out is if Tammy really wants to see it, one. Okay,
right,
that would be
honest.
one. If we're just being honest. But two, I mean, like I'm trying to remember some movies that really got us out. The Revenant was one that it was just so talked about and everything, and it was good, but that was one that got me out. I'm trying to think of the last movie we saw, because it seemed like the last one we saw was pretty good. The Mule got me out.
Yeah.
There was one since then
Clint
too
Eastwood?
that what did we go see? We went and saw the Green Book the Green Mile.
Yeah.
That
Green
was
Book.
but now that had
Green
two
Mile's
guys
a different
in it.
one with Tom Hanks, and then that's an older movie. But Green Book.
That's an older movie. Yeah, Green Book.
Also good though.
But also very good. But I think it was because Mahershala Ali, was in it, and I really like him, and Viggo Mortensen. So probably somebody I really like. I'll be honest, I'm a little interested in that Netflix one with Kevin Costner, I think it is. And,
Highwayman, yes, with
Highwayman.
Woody Harrelson and Kevin.
Woody Harrelson.
I almost started that. It was like 1:00, and I thought the basketball game ended, and I wasn't ready to go to sleep, but I wasn't ready to start a movie. But I almost started it.
I want, because it's got two people I really like in it, and I mean that's got my interest a little bit, and I can watch it on my couch. I cook my own popcorn.
Well, that's what I was thinking. So like, Avengers, I actually went and watched the last Avengers, even though I don't know a lot of the story. Like, I'm not a huge superhero. I like the movies, but like me and one of my coworkers is big into it, and you can tell when it's like when me and him talk basketball. He doesn't really watch basketball, but he knows some of the people. And like when I'm talking about the Clint Capella on the Rockets, he's just like, like he just loses it. He doesn't care.
Right.
And it's the same way when we start talking about Marvel, MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever it's called. Like he'll get deep into it, and I just don't know enough, so I kind of get lost in the clouds too. Yeah, but I went and watched the last Avengers because so many people were watching about it. So many people were talking about it. It's kind of like what we said with Game of Thrones. I just want to be a part of the conversation, so I went to go watch it. And I thought about maybe going to this next one, but for 3 hours, for a movie to be 3 hours, it is hard not to just say, I'm going to wait and watch it on my recliner where I can go pee and pause the movie, where I can get up and get a drink and pause it,
I'm like you, Kevin, that you're right. If I see a movie's 3 hours, I'm probably not going to go see it. That's just too long for me.
But
I don't mind a 2 hour, or an hour and a 45 minute, but
part of it, some certain movies to me, and this is where I think me and you differ a little. Some movies are different experience in the theaters, like at Avengers, with it being so many like special effects and loud and the music and the surround sound that you get at theaters. The experience you get at that is better. Like if you're a big fan of Fast and Furious, they dropped the latest Hobbs and I forget their names, but if you're a big fan of the Fast and Furious, there's a new one coming out and it's going to be action packed and all this stuff. There's an experience where that one's probably better at the movie theaters because it's loud, it's bang and boom, and everything's going on. Where at home, I just don't have the same setup. I have my TV and small speakers. It's not the same. Where to me, I'd rather watch a Mule or something, probably like the Mule, where it's a deeper movie. I'd probably rather watch that one at home because I can really pay attention and get real comfortable and stuff. And there's times where I have to go to the bathroom, as I get older, my bladder's getting a little smaller, and I'd like to be able to, instead of like sit there and hold it. It's nice to be at home and go, I'm going to pause real quick. I'll go use the restroom, get a drink, and I'll come back. There is something it's nice to be able to do that at times.
I just thought about this. This is something that movies theaters need to do. They need to go back to intermissions. They need to have an intermission.
Well, for a 3-hour movie, they definitely need, there needs to be an intermission about 90 minutes in.
But even for me, I drink that big old freaking 20, not 20, what would it be? About a 48-ounce soda pop. And eat all that popcorn. That popcorn won't soak it all up. I'm going to have to go to the bathroom before the thing's over. And then you're running and,
Let's bring back the intermission, a little 5-minute intermission.
Yeah.
And then, that probably would curb the people that are always on their like, it is bad. I don't like it if you get on your phone at the movies because especially if you don't turn the brightness down, that little light is hard. Like you're sitting there watching the big screen. It's hard not to get distracted if there's a little light down here in the corner. And so you're just taken away from the movie. That intermission lets you get if you wanted to check your phone for whatever reason, whether it's Facebook or you have a message or whatever, that gives you that little 5 minutes, check your phone, go use the bathroom, go. I think it solves a lot of problems. I'm with you. Let's bring back the intermission.
How about that?
Let's do it. All right. Now we want to segue into some sports talk. And real quick, if you're interested in going to any sports games, we got a new partner here at the Just Press Play podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just take a second to introduce you to our newest friends from SeatGeek. Let them, if you're wanting to go to the game, let them take the confusion out of your ticket buying experience. And instead of shopping for dozens of sites and trying to find the best deal, SeatGeek's going to do all the work for you. And it's pretty cool what they do. Their app scans the web for all the best deals to your favorite game, concert, show, whatever, and they rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. So basically, they're going to let you know this ticket's good for its price, this ticket's not. Like, it looks like a good seat, but they're really making you pay too much for it. It's easy. A green dot marks a great deal. Yellow dot's good deal. Red dot, probably want to pass on it. It's so easy. And if you're looking to go to a game, we actually have a promo code for you. If you go in there and put ACAA for Armchair All-Americans, that's one of our other partners. That's the network we're on. You just put ACAA at the checkout, and you receive $20 off your first purchase. So that big old thing of popcorn and Cokes, there we go. The Just Press Play, we got you here at the Just Press Play.
We got you.
You got to. Well, actually, you're going to a game. You probably want a beer. And beer's a little more.
So we got the first beers on us. First beers on us.
If you're going to a Cowboys game, we got one beer. One beer is on us. For just put in the code ACAA at SeatGeek and get $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, let's get into it, Dad. The NBA playoffs. The first round's kind of been a bit of a dud, and I think it reminds me that
fair to say.
A lot of times, and you might not have watched a lot of the NBA playoffs. I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and honestly, you can kind of look at the series and go, "Oh, Boston swept. Milwaukee's about to sweep as we're recording this. The Rockets are at 3-0. They could sweep. Yeah. Thunder, they blew a 31-point lead and won, but they're probably going to win 4-1. A nice gentleman's sweep down there in L.A.
Wait, the Thunder?
The Thunder. I'm sorry, the Warriors. I saw Kevin Durant. Okay. I saw a Thunder jersey for a second.
No, the Thunder are the one that's kind of got me shocked. But yeah, the Warriors.
But and this happens a lot where you remember, I think, that, these one seeds are playing the 8. More often than not, the one seeds are just a much better team, and even with the 2 and 7s, and you get these sweeps. But the NBA, I think the NBA probably crowns the best championship, and it's probably the only postseason, not the only, but one of the main postseasons where in almost every series, the better team usually wins, you could say. Like in college basketball, as much as I love March Madness, when a 16 seed, what's their name?
UMBC.
Yeah, UMBC beats Virginia 2 years ago. The better team did not advance, clearly.
If they play 10 more times, Virginia would win all 10, I think.
So, but it makes March Madness fun. I get the aspect of it. It makes it fun. Same way with the NBA or the NFL playoffs, where the Giants can get hot and all of a sudden they reel off and they win a Super Bowl and beat the Patriots, who are undefeated. But in the NBA, the better team usually wins, which probably means the Warriors win another championship. But that's neither here nor there. I think what it gets to is that first round, it can cause for a week long. These games, we could have watched that Milwaukee and Detroit game. You could have seen a game, 2 games maybe, and realized, okay, Detroit has no shot. They just don't have a shot at beating Milwaukee. What happened, and this is I think it was 2003, they switched over to, it used to be a 5-game first-round series, correct?
Yes, it did.
Do you remember that time, and was that a better, more fun first round, or what do you think? Because that was before I really got into watching hoops.
As I recall, I mean, it made it fun, it made it interesting, but I think it was like 2 or 3 years in a row, the better team got put out, in the first round in that 5-game series, because some weird things can happen in a 5-game series. And I think you're right. I think what you were alluding to, in a 7-game series, 95% out of 100, you're going to get the better team that is going to win. But even if you don't,
it's hard to argue if you're the team that lost, that you were the better team. If you couldn't beat them, you got beat 4 out of 7. It's hard to argue.
But really, 3 out of 5, that strange things can happen. So I remember that's why they went away. I want to say it was the Lakers one year. It was some team that was really, I don't know if they were the 1 seed or 2 seed, but it was a really high seed that got taken out on a 5-game series, and that's when they went to the 7 for every single playoff series. I do remember that's why they changed it.
I think the main reason they changed it is cash money. Yeah, money rules everything. Kareem, cash rules everything around in the NBA. And I get it. There's 7 games now, and we'll watch. Even though I talk crap about it, people are gonna. Even if not as many people are watching all 4 games of the Bucks, there's still a 4th game of the Bucks Pistons instead of a 2-0 sweep or 3-0 sweep if it was a 5-game series. Mm-hmm. So I get why they do it, and they get some money. But I think the overall content drops down because now I'm watching this. Like the Clippers, I was glad for the Clippers that they got to win because this Clippers team plays really hard, and they're a good team. And there's no way they're better than the Warriors. Everyone knows that the Warriors know it. The Clippers even know it. But
I happened to catch that game. I caught that game. It was historic. It was crazy.
Yeah, they're fun to watch, and you got to give them some credit. Like even if Beverly's not as good as Steph Curry, he's going to go out there and he's going to play his damn butt off every play. Mm-hmm. And all those guys do it. They play so hard and they're fun to watch. So I was glad they got one. But that really just means we have one extra game where the Warriors are just like I was watching last night before Game of Thrones came on, and there's no one they have that can stop Kevin Durant. And then when Kevin Durant goes out, there's also this guy named Steph Curry, and there's Klay Thompson, and I mean just on and on and on. We'll go down the list. Clippers just can't play him. But here's the way we do it. Bill Barnwell, a guy from ESPN, put out an idea, and if you want to keep the money, okay, I get that. And then if you want to try to say the better team wins, he had this idea. You keep the first round of the playoffs a best of 7 series, unless one team wins the first 3 games. So if a team goes up 3-0, then the series instead of goes to a best of 5. So it's a sweep is 3-0. So like Milwaukee, the Pistons are already done. They went up 3-0. The Clippers and the Warriors would have had to play another game.
Right.
So what it does, the benefits of this is we eliminate the pretty much meaningless playoff games. Those teams that go up 3-0, there's no way the Pistons are coming back, right? I mean, how many times? I think it's happened once ever that a team's come back from 3-0, and it wasn't in the NBA.
I don't know if any. No,
not in the NBA. It wasn't in the NBA. It was like in the MLB and hockey. So a few times it's happened in all major
the Cavaliers
sports.
Came back from 3-1, which was amazing.
But they didn't go down 3-0. No one really. I don't think anyone's ever done it in the NBA. I think it's.
I'd buy that.
And I think it's only happened like 4 times, 5 times across all major professional American sports. So it's like 98% of the time a team's going to win once going up 3-0 in all of major sports. Mm-hmm. So you're eliminating that meaningless game 4, and even if they win, if the other team, like if the Pistons are to win game 4, now we have another meaningless game where really it doesn't matter. And it's just another game where Giannis could roll an ankle or something could happen that now alters the rest of the playoffs where the best team might lose their best player. And then, so not only is that one of the benefits, eliminating a mostly meaningless game, we're giving a reward for domination. So if you go in and you just come out and 3 games, you put your foot on throat and dominate for 3 straight games, I think you deserve to take the series, and now you get extra rest. Rest is good for a team, and I think you deserve some credit for just coming out and dominating 3-0. Lastly, I think as far as benefits go, the last one I really like about it is Game 3 now becomes Game 2 and 3 I think they become even more exciting because you don't want to
get down 3-0.
You don't want to go down 0-2.
You go down 2-0.
You don't want to go down 0-2, and you definitely don't want to go – once you do go down 0-2, Game 3, it's all or nothing. You have a team with their back against the wall. They're playing for everything, whether it's and it would suck if you're the Pistons and you lose. Now you only get, if you lose 3 straight, you don't even get that 4th home game for your fans. That would kind of suck. But it makes that Game 3 all the more important. The fans are going to be riled up because they want one more game in Detroit. Everyone watching's interested because now Blake Griffin's playing for one more game. And it makes everything interesting. And then if you can win Game 3, so now you got to think the Pistons are going to come out firing and a little better in that Game 3. If they steal Game 3 and now it's 2-1, you're much more likely to come back from 2-1 than you were 3-1 if you win game 4 when your back was against the wall. And the way our system's set up now, I just think it makes the first round way more interesting.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to give you 6,250,000 reasons why they won't, because I'm figuring if you could put 25,000 fannies in seats and probably a playoff ticket somewhere around $250 a piece.
Yeah.
25,000 times 250 is $6,250,000. That's a lot of moolah right there. So
yeah, and that's the thing. That's going to be the drawback, and that's how we're never going to go to a situation. I'm glad you pulled out the calculator for it, because there's just no way the NBA's these are businessmen who own these NBA teams, and they see dollar signs, and they're not going to. But here's an argument, though. The ratings are down this year for the second straight year. The ratings are down in the playoffs a little bit, and it's what happens in the first couple rounds. They'll go up. The second round, I think, is going to be fantastic. We're going to get Warriors Rockets
in the second round.
That's great. And then in the East, we're going to get Bucks Celtics. We're going to get Sixers Raptors. I mean, there's going to be some fantastic second round series. I can't wait personally, but these first round games, I think we're just getting a lull where, all right, a week's gone by. We pretty much know who's advancing in each series, minus, say, the Nuggets Spurs. That one's still a toss-up. I have no clue. Other than that, we pretty much know who's advancing in every series. So now we're just watching these meaningless games for a week until we get to a fantastic playoff or second round. It might help the NBA to have, instead of having that week-long dolt, all those games are fun. And then we get into this, we're still excited, and then we get into the second round. And if you're still hanging around watching NBA playoffs, once the second round comes on, I think then you're all in. Now you're loving it. You're loving every second of it.
I mean, I like the idea. It does have some merit, but like I say, that's a lot of money.
Money. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know the players. Do you know what are the players? They get something over and above their salary, right, for playoff games.
Well, yeah, there's a playoff game check. I wonder if I can pull it up. But yeah, that's why I don't think it ever gets changed, because just there's too much money in it. But it would cause for a better product on the court, and you got to think you'd kind of want a better product on the court and on TV for fans, right?
Well, they certainly did it at one time, and I want to say they went from a 7-game series to a 5-game series. I'd have to do some research. You kind of pulled that one out on me. I didn't know, but I thought they were all 7-game series, and they went down to a 5-game series and then back to a 7-game series.
It looks like in the NBA, this is from an article from SB Nation in 2017, so it's probably gone up substantially since then because they signed bigger TV deals. But if a team were to go to the finals, the payout would be $11,000 per game per player if the champions played 20 postseason games. So,
well, yeah, but what does that mean to Steph Curry or KD or?
Yeah, but there's a lot. So you'd have to get all the players' union would have to all agree along with the NBA or with the owners. And so you're talking about let's take out the starting 5 for each team. You still have 10 guys on that, or 7 guys on each roster, minus the reserves that aren't dressing out. They'd probably be happy with, say what you will, $11,000 is $11,000.
$11,000
per game, and that's 4-game series. We're taking $11,000 out of their pockets. It won't happen. Players want their money.
Yeah.
NBA owners want their money, but it would make for a better product, and I'd love to see it. And shout out to Bill Barnwell.
It's a good idea.
With the idea.
It's an interesting theory. I agree.
One of the series that isn't over, well, might be over, and it has not gone, depending on what you thought. It didn't go the way I thought, and it doesn't sound like from what we talked about earlier, the way you thought. The Blazers Thunder. For some reason, I can't get the Thunder and Warriors right. I don't know why. But that series at 3-1 now, the Blazers are up. And what's your thoughts just when I know you might not have watched all of it, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I've seen a little bit about Westbrook. Westbrook's kind of a dick. I mean, I think he is. I think he is maybe the most physically gifted player in the NBA right now. From just the most
pound for pound,
the most athletic. Yeah. He may be the most athletic person in sports. He's an amazing athlete, but Damian Lillard, Damian Lillard,
Damian,
right?
And he goes by Dame a lot. Damian.
Okay, well, Dame Lillard. I mean, I think he's outplaying him, and I've always liked Lillard. Lillard's a pretty good ball player and seems to kind of be a cool guy. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at what's happening, but I can't say I'm totally surprised because I just don't think Westbrook's a team guy. He's just not a team player. It's just not in his DNA. I'm not really getting on his butt about it. I'm just saying
they're real
that's
good
who
at being
is.
a heel when they're winning the game, but then all of a sudden game 4 they lose, and you see Westbrook's been doing this thing. He's done it before. It's nothing new, like you mentioned. Next question, and he won't answer anything. He's kind of just a dick to reporters. And there's a good article. It's an older one, like from 2015, I think, from Grantland, back when it was still a thing, from Brian Curtis, and he talks about. I didn't realize this before, but the Thunder, they do this. This is kind of their thing. They don't let the media get to their players, and they kind of screw the media. And it's their way of trying to keep star players. And I think attract star players is they'll kind of say, we'll protect you. We won't let the media attack you. We won't let them ask you questions, and we'll always stick up for you. And maybe it's worked because they got Paul George to resign. So maybe it's good for him.
When nobody thought he was going to stay there. Yeah, exactly.
So maybe it's working for him. But it seems like that's – what I've kind of kept thinking about it is Westbrook got killed over the weekend for being a dick to reporters. And personally, I don't like it. It annoys me. I don't understand why not. I love when, and I could be spoiled because Derek always answered. My favorite player always answered questions. He put out a full page ad. He's just been really nice to people. He put out an ad in the Dallas Morning News where he thanked the fans and journalists and everyone else that followed him in his career. And he's just a great all-around class guy.
Classy guy.
But I love when, like, they ask Steve Nash after a game, and he makes it. He would usually give good answers. Durant had one the other day, as he's been kind of standoffish to media plenty of times. But he had one where they talked about the game, and he gave a 2-minute spiel on how the Clippers are playing them on defense. And it was fascinating when they let you in. But my point is, I don't like what Westbrook's doing. But I don't know, for the most part, we get nothing out of those interviews. Every now and then we get the Durant, we get the Nash where they'll open up. But for the most part, it's a question that says, what were your thoughts on the game? And we get a cliched, they were making shots and we weren't. Or we just got to play better. Or, very cliche answers. And we don't usually get much for it. And it's got to be awkward if you're the player to, while you're getting dressed, like you just got out of the shower, a towel's around your waist, you're putting your clothes on, and all these grown men and women, because now there's women getting in the locker room, and they're like asking you questions while you're changing. It's got to be awkward. I get why a player doesn't really like it, and they want they just had a loss where they're like pissed, sad, whatever they are, and now you got to have people while you're getting dressed, like, let me breathe and put some clothes on, and then I'll come talk to you. They go to the podium.
I'm just let me get my handy dandy calculator out and see what does.
Are we talking money?
So
again?
If my calculations are close, yeah. So I think Westbrook's making $426,000 a game.
Okay.
So for $426,000,
you can answer a question.
Answer a few damn questions. And I thought I watched some of the stuff that you'd sent a couple of links on. And if they're asking him basketball questions, he ought to try his best to answer them. And if he wants to have a little fun with it, I'm okay. Then I got on this YouTube rant about stupid questions asked to NBA players, and some of it's pretty funny. They asked Chris Paul, "You think you're going to be back here for a Game 7?" He's like, "Are you serious? I'm on this team. You're going to say me? I'm going to sit here and tell you no. I think the series is over." So I don't mind them having a little fun with it. And if they get personal, if somebody gets personal with you, give it back as hard as you want. But if they're asking basketball-related questions, you ought to try to answer.
Okay. That gets me to the other thought. So Westbrook got ripped all over the internet this past weekend. Another guy that's been doing this for years is a coach who happens to be of a different skin color, and a lot of people like him. Greg Popovich has been a dick to reporters for years. And I think he almost gets like, some people don't like it, but it seems like more people like retweet and talk about that as it's funny. Like Popovich slammed another reporter. How funny is that? Do you think they get looked at in a different light? Do you think there's anything to that or not?
I can't deny that there is maybe some possibility of that. But what I have seen, and okay, I'm a white guy, and so and Pops is probably closer to my age than Westbrook, so I can't deny there's some of that, but it does seem like Pops, most of the clips I saw, he's kind of trying to be cute. He's not completely trying to be an ass, but I have seen Pops be an ass.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's been times where he's been an ass.
I have seen him. And so, you could be on to a little something there. I don't know. I can honestly say Pops I find a little more amusing than I do Westbrook. but I think that's just because of Pops is a little funnier to me. But maybe
I think
it's because my skin's the same color as Pops. I don't know.
Well,
I don't think so.
So I think there's some stint where Pop gets a little bit of a little less, more of a pass, but also I think Westbrook's doing this where, like you mentioned, if a guy asks a good question, okay, I'll try to answer it. But he's just straight up next question, regardless of the question. He was saying next question. It might have been I get when someone says, "How are you feeling after this loss?" Okay, no shit. He's probably feeling. He's probably not feeling too great. Like that's. But if someone asks you, what were they doing on their switches on a pick and roll? Like they get a real in-depth question where it's basketball question. You could really, here's where they were kind of confusing us, or here's where we can get better. I would appreciate that answer. It doesn't sound like. I think Westbrook's thing is he's not really even listening to the question. He already knows what he's going to say before the question even comes. And where Pop does, a lot of times I think he listens to the question and he'll give a one-word response, but it's usually like they'll say, "What do you guys like at the end of the first quarter?" Which most of those interviews are pointless. But at the end of the first quarter, the reporters say, "So, Pop, what are your thoughts, or what do you need to do better in the second quarter to erase this 10-point deficit?" And he's like, "Make shots." Clearly.
Score more points.
They'll say like, "What do y'all need? Y'all started out shooting 36% from the field in that first quarter. What do y'all need to do in the second quarter to be better?" He's like, "Well, we need to make some of those shots we're taking." So he gives short answers, but it's kind of like how Bill Belichick will do. If anyone, sometimes like I know they can be really boring, but every now and then when someone asks a real good question, you'll get an answer from one of them where you're like, "Whoa, that basketball mind opens up for a second." You realize how fascinating they are. And I think it just puts more pressure on the media to not just come out and give a canned question. Like really think about it. Have your question ready. Don't just say,
have a good question.
Don't just come out. And that's harder than it seems. Because you're sitting there and you might have your question in your mind. And the reporter right before you ask that question, now you're like, "Oh crap," and you're reeling. But you have to keep your hand up each time because you want to get one of them. And all of a sudden you keep putting your hand up, and then they come to you, and you're like, "Oh crap, I don't actually have a question." And that's when you say something silly like, "Do you think you'll be here for a game 7?" And that's when Chris Paul tells you, "No shit, I'm going to say yes." So I think it puts more pressure on the reporters to ask good questions.
Sure it does.
And I think Westbrook may catch a little more flack than Pop does, but I think a lot of that's on Westbrook for the way he handles himself on and off the court, where there's just a lot about Westbrook's game that leaves him that's not to be desired, where he just like there's times where he gets up and acts like he's mad at people when there wasn't even anything to be mad at on the court. And he always has this chip on his shoulder. And I get it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the chip's good and it makes guys better. But when it's unwarranted and you're just being a dick to be a dick, that turns people off. And that's why people turned on this weekend.
And think about it. I mean, Pops is funny sometimes. I mean, there's very few clips you're going to find of Russell Westbrook being charming and fun.
Yeah.
And you will find some of Greg Popovich being charming.
I think that's the point. I think Popovich hates the dumb questions. So when he gets a dumb question, he gives a dumb answer. But you also see where he'll, like, rest in peace to Craig Sager. He had some amazing little things where he would take a jab at Craig and laugh with him. And you can tell with some of his questions, like you said, there's times where he'll answer it and there's a little shit-eating grin on his face where he knows he's just being silly. Yeah. He'd rather be in the huddle with his guys, and he's going to give a fun answer. And then, all right, let me get back to where I'm going. So I think, yes, Pop catches a little less, but also it's because he's not as much of a dick. Like Westbrook's just being a dick to be a dick. Like the one where from a couple years back, and we'll post in the show notes, where he literally, Barry Thamel, who's been writing for Oklahoma City forever.
I saw that specific
He says,
one,
like, is there a reason? Like, because and I read a little more on it in that Brian Curtis article. Barry Thamel was asked, like, what happened? He goes, I honestly was confused. They just had a big win, and I was wondering, is something going on? Is there a reason he's upset? And he was digging a little deeper, which is what a journalist should do. So he asked, is there a reason you're upset? And Westbrook just goes, no, I just don't like you. Like, he's just being an asshole. There was no prior beef. And maybe. Well,
from what I've read, that Barry says he probably couldn't pick me out of a lineup, to be honest. That's just what he said,
So Westbrook's just being an asshole to be an asshole. And
yeah.
And so here's the thing. Like you said, Dad, they get paid a lot of money to go play basketball. It's a pretty awesome job. And I don't say like I'm amazed at how great these guys are at basketball, but they get paid very handsomely to do so. You can sit there for 5 minutes, answer some questions, and then go home. It's not that hard. At least just don't be an asshole. Like that's what someone asked Dirk one time why he's so like why he always it was towards the end of this final season. They asked him why he was always so good to the media, and he goes, "Well, I mean, y'all make me a lot of money. If y'all write about me and tell people about me, and that grows the Mavericks fan base. That grows my fan base. That everyone talks about brands nowadays. That grows a brand, and that makes money for me. It's Dad's go-to saying, put it on a shirt. Just don't be a dick. He just is like, I don't see why be an asshole. So, and that's what I want. If I could get Westbrook in a room, I never will. But if I could just have a one-on-one with him, I'd just be like, just be nice to people. It's just not that hard, and it's worth it. At the end of the day, it's worth it just to be nice.
Agreed.
All right, before we get out of here, I wanted to switch gears and go a little NFL. Normally, we would go a lot. I think last year we went a lot NFL about this time of year. The draft, it's coming up. It's this week, and it feels like it has completely snuck up on me. If it was, as the old saying goes, if it was a snake, it would have bit me because it just seems like it came out of nowhere. Right. And I was wondering, am I the only one? Does it feel that way for you, or?
Yes, it does, because I saw the commercial, and maybe you've seen this on ESPN, where Dak Prescott's on there talking about Kyler Murray, and I'm like, what is Dak talking about? I'm like, oh hell, that's the draft. He's talking about the draft is coming up. So yeah, it completely snuck up on me, and I don't know, I don't think I watch as much SportsCenter as I used to. And so obviously, I think as you alluded to earlier when we were talking, ESPN is going to really tout the draft. Right. And so I'm not watching as much ESPN for whatever reason. And so maybe that has something to do with it. I'm still as interested in football as I ever have been.
Well, that's what was to mention something on that Dak commercial for Kyler Murray. It seems a little odd. I didn't really get the commercial because his whole thing's like talking about how being doubted and all this stuff. And Dak has been doubted. He got drafted, whatever he did, 4th round. And he was the backup when he got to Dallas, all this stuff. And now he's about to sign a huge deal probably sometime soon. So I get where he's coming from. But Kyler Murray, on the other hand, is not near as doubted. He's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. I think he is, won 4 straight state championships. He was a highly touted quarterback in Texas high school football, which that means he's basically like a god in Texas. If you're a great high school quarterback, Texas loves their football in high school. And then he went to Texas A&M, had offers from other places, went to A&M. And then as soon as he wanted to leave, he got an offer from Oklahoma to go transfer. Now he's won a Heisman. Dude's had and he's been drafted in the 1st round in the MLB. There's not a lot of like he's not the same as Dak, where Dak was this guy who people didn't know about. I just didn't understand the concept really. I guess he's short. Maybe that's why he's doubted. But
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't get it completely because I think Kyler Murray's certainly coming with more acclaim than Dak Prescott did.
It just didn't seem fitting to me to have Dak be that guy. Like, I thought Cam Newton should say like hater, maybe talk about haters or something. But I guess it's weird having a guy who's 6'7" talk to about a guy who's 6 foot, whatever. But I think you're right. And on the draft kind of catching up to me, or sneaking up on me, I think with the NFL draft, I used to watch, I think around this time last year, I was watching more Get Up on ESPN. It was new, and I kind of wanted to get a feel for it because Mike and Mike had ended, and I wanted to see what Greeny was doing. I like Greeny and Jalen Rose, and the show's fine. I still like it when I catch it. I just don't make a point at all to catch it. If it's on, I'll watch it. And I just don't watch as much. I watch like ESPN. I watch the playoffs, but I don't catch the sports centers and the daily talk shows and the Pardon the Interruptions and Around the Horns and all those. I just don't catch them as much. And those would probably be the shows that they're going to do segments on the draft, like you said, because they want to get us talking about it. They want us to get us pumped up. But I also thought another thing that maybe is I wasn't sure. I wanted to ask you this. Is anything to the Cowboys not having a 1st-round pick? Do you think that is anything to us not keeping up with the draft as much?
It definitely could because, I mean, I do keep up with the Cowboys. And, yes, I think that could have something to do with it.
I thought at first when I first thought, I thought no way I care about the Cowboys, but that's not going to keep me from keeping up with the NFL draft. But then I thought about it, I was like, well, last year there was I know I'm a biased fan. I know I care what the Cowboys do, and I'm probably keeping up with it to see who's going to drop to 20. And I haven't clicked on any mock drafts this year just because I don't really care who's going around 20 because it's not the Cowboys picking, so it doesn't matter. But
I mean, you'd have to go to what, pick 58
yeah.
or whatever to get to the Cowboys pick.
I don't know. I still am interested in the draft. I'm interested to see. It's a huge time where everyone's lying and stuff. I did see a cool article. I wish LJ was here. Did you hear that Mike Mayock and John Gruden apparently sent all their scouts home?
Sent all the scouts home
because they don't trust. They don't trust. They're worried it'll get leaked out of who they're looking at. So they sent all the scouts home. And I was going to make a joke about how, once again, John Gruden seems like he just is, who knows what he's doing over there. But then I read a story about Gil Brandt, I think it's Gil Brandt. He used to –
Gil Brandt, yeah, I heard this too.
Back when he worked as a scout or whatever it was for the Cowboys, he said they put like a little fake thing on the board of who they wanted, and it was a player they didn't want just to see if anyone would leak it. And once someone leaked it, they caught their snake, and they caught the person in the locker room. Right. These guys take this stuff so serious. They get paid so much money. You can't tell me you can't hire 7 people that you trust 100% not to go tell the media what you're trying to do. That is wild to me. It blows my mind.
Me too.
Me
too.
We don't get paid near that much at my job, but I think they trust us not to go leak information out about. But then again, I guess not that many people are trying to figure out what we're doing behind closed doors, where people are really trying to figure out who the Cowboys are drafting. But it just blew my mind to figure out how these people were so worried about everyone leaking out information and everything. And I guess it does happen.
But they leaked something fake. They put fake information out there to see if the guy would leak it. And he did.
And they caught someone. I was fixing
priceless.
to I was like, oh, next time we get on the podcast, I can't wait to get LJ started up to just rip on John Gruden and the Raiders. And then after that Gil Brandt thing, I was like, wow, this isn't that weird. This isn't that weird. The Raiders are just one among 32 that probably do this. So I guess it's not that crazy. They're all crazy. Do you think Kyler Murray should be taken, our last thing on the NFL draft, should they take Cardinals? Should they take Kyler Murray number 1 overall?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on what you're getting for Rosen, and I don't know what kind of offers they've got for him. They should be shopping him. If they can get something good for Rosen, I didn't see him play last year.
He kind of wasn't great, but also he was on the Cardinals.
He had a horrible offensive line.
He had Larry Fitzgerald, and that's it. That was it.
And that's it. Because what's the running back was hurt.
David Johnson got hurt.
You said he played at A&M. I thought he played with the coach for Arizona, that Tech. Did he not play at Tech at all?
No, Kingsbury just always loved him. Back when he was at Tech, he would talk about how Kyler Murray's really good. And before I think he even thought he had a chance at a NFL head coaching job like 2 years ago, he talked about how Kyler Murray, or right as Kyler Murray was coming up, and I think right at the beginning of this past season, when Kingsbury probably thought he'd be at Tech for a while, someone asked him about Kyler Murray, and he goes, "Oh, I think he's great. I'd love him to be my quarterback, and I think he's an NFL quarterback." All this stuff. And started about that's how it first got the people started connecting the dots.
Is Kyler Murray the guy? Now, maybe I'm going way too back, but who was the guy that came right after Manziel and then like broke his record in the first 5 games or something? That wasn't Kyler Murray, was it?
Oh, who?
I'm going too far back now, aren't I? Yeah, okay.
Oh, it was like he went off for the first like 3 or 4 games, and everyone thought he's
first 3 or 4 games he went nuts.
I'm going completely blank. I guess is this me getting old? I feel like I know this name, and I can't think of it. But yeah.
Well, and he fell off, and I thought he transferred and everything, and obviously Kyler Murray transferred from A&M because he wound up in Oklahoma. So anyway, sorry about that, listeners. wrong guy. We'll put it in the show notes who it was. But I thought maybe
do you think, what do you think they should get for Rosen then? I mean, do you even have an idea?
Well, it depends. I've heard that maybe Belichick would be interested in him, and certainly Belichick. The Patriots got to do something. I mean,
do you think if you're
they've got to have
if you're the Cardinals and Belichick comes and offers a 2nd-round pick, I'm probably like, no way, he must know something we don't know. He must be better. Belichick has that thing where people I think have, like, you used to joke about it. There's like a do not answer when Belichick calls other GMs because they just know he's about to fleece them.
Well, Yeah, but I mean, so I think yes, I think you do seriously consider Kyler Murray first, but it's dependent on what you get for Rosen. But hell, if you think he's the guy, you take him. If you think he is the guy, you get him. Now there's that size, question about him.
I think what people probably are worried about, or if you're the Cardinals, what you're worried about is if you take him first overall, then you lose. That drops Rosen's value because clearly they got to trade Rosen showing, now. If you take Kyler Murray 1, that's you showing that you don't trust Rosen to be the guy. And that means after 1 year, you're already out on Rosen. Whether they're right or wrong is neither here nor there. That's what you're basically telling people. And if I'm another team, if I was the Patriots, at one point I heard a 3rd round pick for Rosen, and I thought, hell, the Cowboys should offer a 3rd round pick for Rosen. I just think quarterbacks are valuable, and he's on a rookie deal. I think someone will go get Rosen. They'll probably try to get a 1st round pick, but it's going to be hard to get a 1st round pick for Rosen if you're already taking another quarterback to replace him. He just loses all his value. What really should happen is I want to hear that GM actually tell us that GM should be fired. Not only did the GM hire a coach and fire him within a year, he also traded up and drafted a quarterback in the 1st round and then drafted another one a year after. Clearly, he just sucked last offseason. I mean, he must have been terrible.
Who is the GM?
Oh, I forget his name now. He's not very good. I don't think he'll be there very long. We know.
Yeah. Yeah. No need to look it up. He probably won't be there long.
So, yeah, I hope he goes first. I can't wait to watch Kyler Murray in the NFL. I just think he's so fun to watch, and I'm interested to see what he can do. It'll just be fun. So
I remember you telling me that, and I didn't get to watch him play a lot last year, so I'm anxious to see him play. I really am. And then, God, did you see quickly, last thing on NFL you said, but Russell Wilson signed one hell of a contract, and he's not a very big guy in stature, but I think he is a hell of a good quarterback. So if Kyler Murray could be a quarterback along those lines at all.
Well, and that's what kind of intrigues me because what Russell Wilson does is he runs around a lot, but he doesn't take a ton of big hits. He's not like Vic where he's, diving over people and trying to go for the pylon and landing on his head. And if you look back last year, I don't remember many games. Kyler Murray ran a lot last year at Oklahoma. Don't really remember him getting hit much. Either they couldn't catch him or he ran out of bounds or he slid.
Loaded up.
So I think you can last in the league as long. The reason RG3 didn't last is because he kept getting hit, and that
he didn't play smart.
You just got to.
You got to play
a quarterback
smart.
Is more valuable than a running back. You just can't take those hits because you can't miss games. By the way, to the listeners out there, I know our A&M fans are rolling our eyes because we couldn't remember. It was Kenny Trill Hill for A&M that went crazy for 3 weeks and then flamed out, and he transferred somewhere later. But that's it. But yeah, NFL draft snuck up on me. I'm interested. I'll be watching, even though I didn't realize it was this close, but I'll be all in for it, especially because it'll still be probably a meaningless NBA game going on for the 1st round while we're waiting on this fantastic 2nd round coming up. I'm pumped for that. Let's end it how we normally do. A little what we're listening to. And I'll start with you. I think I have something that you're going to like this week for what we're listening to. But what about you? What have you been listening to?
Well, I got a little different story than what we're listening to this week. So I'm gonna tell you this, and I'll get a picture and put it on the website. There's a guy there's about a 15-foot pine tree that was cut down at Little River, and they hired this guy to come in, and he's carving it out with chainsaws. And what this guy's doing to this tree, the tree. Okay. Yes, he's carving the tree. So he's got like everything that Little River's kind of made up of: fishing, a golf club, a tennis racket, the Little River Club insignia. Like I said, it's beautiful, the artwork that he's doing. But so I talked to the guy a little bit, and what he does is he lives mostly up in like the Washington State area where there's a lot of trees, obviously, and stuff. And so during the summer, he's up there and he's doing his craft. And during the winter, when it's really cold up there, he comes down to DeQueen. He lives in DeQueen, Arkansas, a real small town, or he stays in DeQueen, and he carves trees for you. And I mean, he gave me a card. He's a really pretty cool guy. So I said, well, so you live in Washington some, you live here some. I said, so where do you call home? And he looked at me and goes, Earth. That's where I call home. Earth. Wherever I'm laying my head, that's my home. And I thought, that's pretty damn cool. Where's
Earth,
home?
Baby?
Earth. I kind of liked it. So I don't know. That had an impression on me.
Hell, and we're recording this on Earth Day. It's Earth Day, baby. Yeah, it's Earth Day.
Is it Earth Day?
Yeah,
How about
it's Earth
that?
Day today.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Nice
we're
little
recording this
segue
Monday
there,
night.
but,
It's Earth Day. Yeah, that's cool. We need to. Speaking of Earth and Earth Day, Little Dicky, my boy, put out a little song with like a ton of different artists about we love the Earth, and it's a big thing. It's a big like 7-minute song. It's a cool little animated video, and it's just talking about how like it's basically him addressing climate change and some other issues going on in the world. And it's just like, dude, the Earth is so cool. It's where we all live. We live here together. Let's try to keep this thing around as long as possible. And all the money going to it's going to try to go to the proceeds for different efforts and saving the Earth and stuff. And it was really cool. I'll put that on the show notes. But yeah, that's interesting. You brought that up.
Okay.
We all live here on Earth. That's where I live. That's where I stays. I stays on Earth.
I stays on Earth.
What I've been listening to, and I got to give this actually maybe when you first told me. So last weekend I went to, or 2 weekends ago, I went to Hot Springs, and while there I was celebrating my man Cody McGee's birthday, and he put me on an album. I know you and LJ may have heard this because I know this man's been brought up on y'all's what we're listening to for a while now. But Ben Harper, Diamonds on the Inside. Do you know that album?
Oh, Diamonds on the Inside.
I didn't know that album. I've listened to some Ben Harper, but I didn't know that album. My goodness, it was so good. I couldn't. And it had like some Jamaican songs, some like African songs. I mean, it had all kinds of stuff. It was so like Cody told me we listened to it. We went to the gas station to go get something. I don't remember what we were going to do, but he had it playing on his car. Cody, of course, has a CD in his car. You know, he's still old school. Oh yeah,
he's still got a CD.
I was like, "What is this playing? What do you got on the aux cord?" He's like, "Aux cord," and he pulls out the album, like the what it came. He's like, "This is what we're listening to." Yeah, the case.
CD case.
I don't even know what it's called because I hadn't listened to a CD in forever. He pulls out the case and just tosses it to me. He's like, "Diamonds on the Inside. On your way home, when you're driving back up to North Arkansas, throw this bad boy on." And it was good stuff. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So that's what I've been listening to.
Oh, Ben Harper's one of my favorite artists. One of my very favorite artists.
And I know,
good stuff. I can't wait to listen to that again.
LJ's not here, but I did do my homework. I listened to some Tenacious D this past week.
Yeah.
Jamming. My boy Jack.
Yeah.
It's not only jamming, but there's some funny stuff on it, like the little, like where you kind of do skits and stuff in it. It was pretty dang good. I was listening to what's the Wonder Boy or whatever. It was killing me.
It's been a long time since I've seen him, but you need to YouTube him again.
I was just listening
and watch
I was just listening
video.
to him on Spotify.
Oh, they've got like little 10, 15-minute, what do you call those? Very short. They're very short takes or whatever, but they're hilarious with old KG Kyle Gunn. It's hilarious.
They were pretty good. I hate that I'm bringing this up with LJ not here, and I might have to bring it up again with him here because my homework. He's the one who assigned me the homework, and I was late last time. So, but I did. I just wanted to make sure it was out there on the record for LJ to know. I did do my homework. I listened to some Tenacious D.
You did do your homework.
I think that'll do it for this week's episode. Another good week. I can't wait. We got a first round of playoffs. We'll finish those up. NBA will be out of the way. And then second round next week. Oh, it's going to be fun. A lot of fun coming up. NFL draft coming up. Game of Thrones season. We finally get that feature length episode coming up on Sunday. Hopefully LJ will be back. We'll have it all for you next week. But for another week of the JPP pod, peace out.
Peace.